Hello dear students, welcome to this module on assessments. In this particular module, we will be discussing in detail about the three modes of assessments, that is assessments for learning, assessment as learning and assessments of learning. Before we discuss these, let us try to see what are the learning outcomes for this particular module. After the completion of this module, you will be able to discuss the various concerns in the field of assessments. Analyze the movement from the testing culture to the assessment culture and elaborate upon the nuances of the following, that is assessment of learning, assessment for learning and assessment as learning. Now before beginning or before coming to the assessments, let us try to see what do you mean by assessment, what is the basic concept of assessment. Assessments are basically systematic collection and interpretation of evidence leading as a part of the process to a judgment of value with a view to action. Now this is a definition which is a very comprehensive definition given by Beebe. If we look into the characteristics or the features emerging out of this definition, they are systematic collection of qualitative and quantitative data. So we are collecting some data with some purpose in mind, and we are collecting both the types of data, that is qualitative as well as quantitative. Then we interpret or analyze this data, and then on the basis of this interpretation or analysis we come to a judgment. And when we come to this judgment, we do not, it is not a judgment done for its own sake. We have to have some action taken on the judgments that have been formed. The actions may be a remedial action, or it may be some corrective action or some decision which can be taken. Say for example, if the students are not doing well on a particular assessments, then why are they not doing well? Taking some remedial action, remedial classes, or reteaching, or doing some other forms of activities so that students are able to do better, or taking some decision like whether a student is comfortable, or whether a student is fit to be promoted to the next class or no, whether a student is fit to be taken on a particular course or no. So these are some decisions which can be taken. And if we see in this diagram given by Taylor, and which shows the relationship between objectives, learning assessments, learning experiences and evaluation or assessment, we can see that they share a tripolar process, that is objectives, learning experiences and assessments. They influence each other and they are also influenced by each other. Now let us try to see what are the basic challenges in the field of assessments. The first and the foremost is, how do we assess children or students holistically? When we are talking of the concept of education, education and assessments are interlinked. When we are talking of education, we want holistic development of students, overall development of students. Now if we are wanting overall development of students, our assessments cannot be focused just on the academic outputs. So this has been the main limitation or drawback of our evaluation system, that predominantly it is focused only on the academic outcomes. So this is a challenge, that how do we assess students holistically, taking into consideration their overall personality traits. Then the second challenge is, how do we prepare students to think critically and analytically and evaluating students on those criterias. The another challenge is, how do we assess on other personality dimensions like social and emotional skills, because this has been from experience that until and unless all of these aspects become a part of our assessment procedures, adequate attention is not given to them. We have, in our experiences, we have seen that if the assessment procedures are focused only on academics, the entire curriculum becomes focused only on academics and nothing else is given importance. And how can our assessments represent the overall aim of education? This is something which is very important. Now, the basic assumption of doing any kind of assessment system is to help students to learn better and to give feedback to our teachers and to realize our educational goals. Now, in this particular module, we will try to see that how we have been able to accomplish that and in what manners we are trying in that direction. Now, if we see, there are assessments are in a state of flux. All over the world, we are trying to shift, or the paradigms are shifting from the testing culture to the assessment culture. throughout the world, the focus was previously on or traditionally on academic outputs and achievements, and which is basically known as a testing culture, in which there was 1 point exam based on the final product, and it used to give, and they were known as high stake exams, and on the basis of this particular exam everything was based. Now, and this testing culture was basically based on the psychometric quantitative paradigms. And now we are there for a lot of limitations. We will come to the limitations of the testing culture in the next slide. Now we are shifting to the assessment culture, which is a holistic kind of assessment system, which are based on the contextual qualitative paradigms, which take into consideration the overall development of students, the overall assessment of students, and assessments are not done on a 1 point kind of a thing. They are done on a continuous manner, they are done in a comprehensive manner, and all components of the personality of students are taken into consideration. Now let us try to see what are the limitations of the testing culture, the power of tests and exams. So when we are talking of the testing culture, the tests were given so much of power that all decisions are based on the outcomes of that test. So the test used to become the all powerful. Now just to give you a kind of a simile, let us try to examine our education system. Now let us try to compare our education system to the solar system. So like in the solar system, we have sun in the middle, and there are planets rotating around the sun, and there are satellites rotating and revolving around their own respective planets, right? Now in the same scenario, if we fit into our education system, what should be the center of the education system, or what should be the sun of our education system? The child, or maybe the aims of our education? Now this should be, or the child should be, the focus or the center of our education system, but no, this has not happened, and this should be the center, and everything should rotate and revolve around the child and the development, overall development of the child. But this is not the scenario. This is not happening in this manner. We see that in this system there is a small little satellite somewhere there, which is known as test, and somehow everything has started rotating and revolving around the tests which are there, leaving the child and the aims of education all alone. So this is what is happening if we give the tests so much of power. Another very important limitation is the distortion and corrupt social processes. They emerge. The more any quantitative social indicator used for social decision making, the more likely it is to distort and corrupt the social process. The point is, we are trying to find out the academic achievement of our students, but the question arises, are our test results actually telling us the academic achievement? Now we see that these tests, if we statistically see, each of these test scores which are there, they are representing a, you can say, on a number, on a number line of say 0 to 100. Any student can lie anywhere between say 0 to 100. Now if we look into the achievement, and these the question papers that have been said, they are just a sample of questions. So let us assume that I have picked out this sample of questions from the entire content area, and students have scored so many marks. Student A has scored 67, student B has scored 70. Now if I had picked up another sample of questions from the content area, do you think these students would have attained the same marks? They may have got some other marks. So the thing is ki how much trust can be put on the marks scored by the students? Say if statistically it has been proven that a student who has got 67 marks, his or her achievements may lie anywhere between +5 and -5. A student who has scored 70 marks, his or her actual achievement may lie anywhere between +5 and -5. So what is the reliability, or what is the validity of the scores that have been attained on these tests, and why should we be putting so much of importance on these test scores or marks? Another point, if important decisions are presumed to be related to the test's results, then teachers will teach to the test, leading to test score pollution. Now, it has been a common experience. Teachers teach according to the test. If the test is an objective type test, the teachers will teach differently. If it is a essay type test, teachers are going to teach differently and students are also going to prepare differently. This is known as test score pollution, and it produces construct irrelevant test scores. So the testing does not remain or the testing is not actually representing true understanding of the content area. It is actually representing the intelligence of the learners in preparing to the test. So this is something which we obviously wouldn't want. In every setting where high stakes operates, a tradition of past exams develop. Yes, the past 5 years question papers, past 10-year question papers, and entire you can say publication industries are based on that. In every subject area, for every level, past 10-year question papers and their answers are published. Past 5-year question papers and their answers are published. Teachers pay particular attention to the form of questions on high stake tests, for example, short answer, long answer, or multiple choice, and they teach accordingly. And when the test results are the sole or even partial or arbiter of future educational life choices, society tends to treat test results as the major goal of schooling, which is very, very dangerous, as we have seen. When a child knows or comes to understand through various sources, his or her teachers, parents, school authorities, even neighbors, random people, everybody is so concerned. Say, when a child reaches class 10th or class 12th, relatives who have had no relation with the family, suddenly they will start calling up and saying, oh, what is your child doing, how much he or she has scored. So when so much of importance is given to the test scores, they assume so much of importance and they create so much of tension in the minds of the students that we see that often students buckle under this pressure. They go to extreme steps like even committing suicides, which is very, very this is not something which we are aiming for. And high stakes test transfers control of the curriculum to the agency which sets or control the examination. So curriculum de facto becomes what is the you can say the pattern of the question paper. This unit carries this much weightage, another unit carries more weightage, so more curriculum. The entire curriculum and all the instructional activities are basically planned to the test rather than to the curriculum, rather than focusing on the learning, rather than focusing on the processes of learning. So this is a very dangerous trend, and because of these, we have tried to, or the world over, we are trying to shift from this testing culture to the assessment cultures, which are more holistic, which are contextual, qualitative paradigms. Now, in the assessment culture, we are trying to talk of a convergence of the curriculum, instruction, and assessment. That means all of these three elements are taken together. They are not treated as watertight compartments. In the testing culture, we have curriculum is set, then that curriculum has to be taught by the teachers, and after all the teaching is done, then the testing is done. So they are very straight watertight compartments. When we are talking of the assessment culture, we are trying to do away with these watertight compartments, and there is a convergence between assessments, instruction, and curriculum. That means teachers do have a role or some agency in doing the way they would want to transact the curriculum, the instructions, the teaching methodologies that they are going to design, and the way they are going to assess the students. Now, in this assessment culture, there are three different types of trend: assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment of learning. Now, seemingly they seem to be very similar, but they are very, very different. Now, if we see assessment for learning, what does this mean? We are trying to see how much learning has happened. So it is formative. Now, if we see the last one, that is assessment of learning, that means learning has been done and now we are trying to assess learning. So that is assessment of learning, that is primarily summative. Then we have assessment as learning. Now, what do you mean by this? Is something which is a little we need to understand this assessment as learning. This means there is a convergence of assessments and teaching learning processes. That means that we are not thinking of them as two watertight compartments. Once the teaching finishes, then we will start with assessments. No. assessments are basically an inherent part of the teaching learning process. They are embedded into the teaching learning process. Students are being assessed without even realizing that they are being assessed. So that is the basic, you can say the philosophy behind assessments as learning, that students need to students don't even have to think about that they are being assessed. They are being assessed and they are being taught also side by side. Now, let us have a look at all of these three trends in a little detail. First of all, the assessment for learning. In assessment for learning, the teachers monitor the progress made by each student in relation to the program of studies outcome and determine the upcoming learning needs. That means formative assessment. The basic objective is to see whether the students are following or not, and if they are not following, what are the problems, what are the reasons, and taking some corrective action. They ensure that learning outcomes are clear, detailed, and ensure that they assess according to these outcomes. And we use a number of range of methods, informal observations, that is while teaching in the class, teachers do get to know which students are following and which are not following. They are informal methods, anecdotal records, checklists, rating scales, performance assessments, etc. So these are all the formative assessment tools. Now we come to assessment as learning, in which we are doing away with this water compartmentalization, and teaching, learning and assessments go hand in hand. So they focus on the role of the students play in their own learning. Students are learning also and they are being assessed also side by side. Students are viewed as a bridge between what they know and the unknown, and that is still to be learned. Their role is to assess critically both what and how they are learning, that is the metacognitive skills. And the demarcation between the teaching learning processes and assessment procedures is done away, and instructional processes double up as the assessment devices also, which is also known as the embedded assessments. And it is possible when students are doing or working something on their own. Say for example, either they are working in groups or whether they are working individually, and when the processes of their working are on, they are also being assessed and they are also being taught side by side. The basic assumption is, why cannot the students be assessed as they are learning, whether individually or in groups? So as we see, both on a principal level, assessment for learning and assessment as learning, they together form a part of the formative assessments. So as we can see in the slide, assessment for and as learning, they are very effective formative assessments which give feedback on the product, that is the final product of learning, feedback on the progress, that is how students are progressing on their different learning tasks, and feedback on the processes of learning. So this takes care of all the three major dimensions, that is feedback on the product, feedback on the process, and feedback on the progresses made by each and every student. So you can see this is a kind of a holistic assessment paradigm. Now we come to the assessment of learning. Assessment of learning is predominantly summative assessments. It focuses on the cumulative results of learning, that is the final product of learning. It involves quantified information on student knowledge or performance in direct relation to the specific assessed outcomes. It takes place at specific times in instructional sequence. It is also known as summative evaluation or assessment. Now, if we have a look at this slide pertaining to assessment practices, in all of these different trends, that is assessment for learning, as learning and of learning, these are the different tools and techniques which can be adopted by the teachers for these different trends. So for assessment for learning, as we understand, it is formative assessments. So we have the informal observations, we have anecdotal records, we have observation, rating scale, checklist, rubrics. We have performance assessment tasks, we have the classroom dialogues, quizzes, tests, rubrics, scoring guides, etc., etc. Regarding assessments as learning, we have embedded assessments, that is assessments are embedded within the teaching learning processes, which can be individual in nature, which can be group based. We can have group discussions, we can have peer assessments, journals, portfolios, self assessments, peer assessments, rubrics, peer coaching, etc. Regarding assessment of learning, we have performance tasks, we have projects, quizzes, rubrics, traditional tests and exams are also a part of the summative assessments. With this, we have come to the end of this module. Now let us try to check your progress. If I would want that you should be able to answer the following questions. Discuss the various concerns in the field of assessments. Share your experiences of preparing for different types of tests in your school days. Critically analyze your own observations in view of the testing culture and the assessment culture, and if it is possible, also try to ask your parents how did they prepare for their examinations while in school and in colleges, and try to compare your assessment systems with that of your parents. Is there a difference? Was there a difference? The ways in which you people have studied, the ways in which your parents have studied. Elaborate upon the nuances of the following: assessment of learning, assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and what are the various tools and techniques which are available to the teachers for each one of them. That brings us to the end of this particular module. I wish you all the very best, wishing you all a very meaningful assessing. Thank you so much and wishing all the best to all of you. Thank you.